Okay. I also just now posted the big picture questions from our uh, new worksheet for this stream. So those are in the chat, and then I uploaded the worksheet into iLearn as well. We went through a couple different versions of the worksheet we wanted to use on this stream, and I had accidentally uploaded the wrong version and just now realized it. So Dave has stepped out for one. Oh, he's back.
Yep, I'm
and
back.
Now we're gonna get started as soon as we are ready.
Yeah, apologies if I'm a little sniffly.
Dave, I went ahead and posted the questions from the
yeah.
worksheet in the chat.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
So real quick, we're going to do a quick, brief introduction to tonight's stream, then have everybody kind of jump in and do a blind run of question number 1.
Yes.
Of at least one part of question number 1, and then we'll talk about the game some. But tonight's lecture is sort of half of, or the last half of our lecture we started last time, where we were talking about using video games to teach media literacy. And tonight's lecture is fun because we get to kind of get designy and sort of dig into the design aspect of the game a little more. But what we're looking at tonight is a feature that every single piece of media that has ever existed in human history has always, what was the term I used earlier, Bevin? I just lost it. Has always informed us on how we are supposed to use it. Right? It is always prescribed.
As we're going, it's telling us what to do.
Yes, it prescribes and proscribes user behavior, right? To use more contemporary terms, prescribes and proscribes user behavior. And a great example, conditions us. That was what I said earlier.
Oh, good.
And one of our classic examples is if we think about the leaps and bounds that cinema takes coincide with the development of theatrical spaces. And cinema, is sort of born when both the camera and the space, in a way, meet each other in a certain relationship. Yes. And so we think about going to the movie. It prescribes and proscribes behavior. It tells us what kind of person, what kind of consumer of this media we're supposed to be. We become film goers or movie goers.
Right.
And what that means is that we sit somewhere in the dark, we're quiet, we don't play on our phones, we don't introduce exterior stimuli, right? We all sit down and we face forward and we look at the same direction. Theoretically. And we are, again, theoretically obliged to give this space our undivided attention for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right? So it conditions an ideal moviegoer.
Yes.
Another example, if we think about two-way radio communication, right? So walkie-talkies. Hopefully that is not an aged-out reference.
Oh my God, I don't know if they're not, but I hope it's not.
It's an example of how we have prescribed language, right? So at the end of a command, you have to signal that you are done talking. There's a syntactical signal that then takes a linguistic interpretation. So then we have to say over and out to signal over that we're done. And then on the other end, there's copy that or Roger or various numbers of signals, right?
10-4, good buddy.
10-4, yeah. So the limitations of that media form, right, or its technical design partially informs how we use it. And if we want to get art historical about it, if we think sort of Renaissance painting, but really you can imagine any painting made between the 15th century all the way to the 1860s that takes one-point perspective, right? So Alberti, the model of the Italian Renaissance man, in his treatise on painting, says that we have to address the surface of the painting like we address the window. that it is a flat surface, but on the other side of that is space that is real, more or less, right? That there is real space that exists on the other side. And essentially what he says is that to properly view a painting, we have to stand in front of the canvas and address it with our body as we would address standing in a real space. And that is one of the essential components that makes one-point perspective work, is that we stand at that viewpoint in front of it, that reciprocal viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the great thing we love about video games, to sort of make my short story short, is that video games borrow an abundance of these kinds of conditioning feedback, of rules that it is continually reinforcing, both because that's a design of games, right? Games are just an amalgamation of rules. And then how responsive and visual video games are as a medium, and how they borrow off of this rich sort of art historical aesthetic tradition. We see like really great examples, and I'm going to show you one real quick before we hop in, right? Yeah. But I'm looking at two different body types here, and we can see one, right, is an ally of some kind, right? It says friendly bot. It's in blue, and then we see another one that says standard bot, right, and that's a bad guy, right? And there's lots of different signals it gives us to let us know that, right? So when we're, again, right before or as we're hopping in, when we think about media, right, don't pass over something that may seem too obvious to mention, right? Because when you, again, think about the theater, the very fact that we all go and sit down in the same way seems so inherently obvious to us now because we're conditioned to that behavior because we've all been to movie theaters. And so it's kind of one of those we have to almost take a meta look.
Yeah, take a step back and really think about it. Seems obvious, but maybe there's a little bit more to the behavior that we never really thought about before. And a lot of it is learned, and things we learn from seeing other people, and things the space tells us about what we should do and how we should see it.
People on here that we can play with, which would be great because it gives us some extra feedback to look at. Let me see how long they are to the end of their game. Because if it's going to be a while, we're not going to wait. Are there any questions so far? We'll sort of, for anybody who's not familiar with the game, we'll give a little brief history of the game.
Yeah, not yet. The chat is quiet right now.
Okay. What does the chat think of our audio? Is it better this time?
Oh yeah, I didn't ask. Well, nobody has said they can't hear me, and that was a quick feedback we received last time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume that we are good.
Okay.
Unless somebody raises a stink in the chat. If you can't hear both of us okay, and we think we've got kind of the game sounds and our voices worked out relatively well this time.
Yeah.
And I'll read what's on the worksheet as, a brief, has a 1 sentence. And then you can tell us more about this game, because this is a game I know nothing about. Never even heard of it before. So what we have in the worksheet tells us that Overwatch 2 is from 2023, Blizzard Games, is a team-based multiplayer FPS, and I do know that means first-person shooter. Thank you.
Yep.
That utilizes numerous feedback forms to communicate with the player. Yeah. And we've sort of kind of laid out what we mean by that. How does the game tell you what to do? How do you know whether you're doing good or bad? How do you know if someone is a friend or a foe? Those types of things.
When things happen. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to go back to a couple of these terms, being team-based multiplayer first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So So team-based, we're playing with a team. Dave, are we playing with a computer team or are we playing
Nope.
with actual
We're
humans
going to
on
play
the
with real
internet?
human beings on the internet, so to speak.
Okay.
Let me
And
see. Check.
multiplayer, I think, is probably self-explanatory. It
Yeah.
means multiple people are playing together.
Yep.
And then FPS introduces some of this language from literature that we've mentioned before,
Okay.
the idea of a first-person perspective, which means that, like, it is your viewpoint as the character you are playing,
Yeah.
right? You're not hovering over yourself or watching yourself in the third person or anything like that. You are playing as this individual.
And this one sort of interestingly highlights the complex fluidity of that in games, how easily we move back and forth between notions of
Okay.
identity. Because while we are first
Yeah.
person, and you'll very much identify as me playing, as you see
Yes,
here on the hero
true.
selection, they're all different
Oh.
characters with tons of like unique identity, unique abilities, their own backstories. So they, in a sense,
Cool.
they exist as both, and you'll see why when we play the game. All right, let me see. I
Okay.
think they're still like 5 minutes out, which we're not going to wait that long.
Damn, what are these like ice skates we're wearing though?
So that's Lucio's character, and he skates around on rollerblades or ice skates or
Love.
variations therein. Okay.
Whatever, yeah. Cool. Okay. We do have confirmation in the chat that the audio is in fact a lot better from
Okay.
Livestream. So success.
All right, I'll let them know I'm going to start one here soon. All right, we're going to check a loot box, right? Let's do this. We see an
What's a loot
example of
box?
feedback. So this is one of the much popularized and notorious things where it's like a random prize box you get every now and then of
Okay.
in-game cosmetic items. And it was actually at the
Okay.
basis of a lawsuit that the EU took against Blizzard, accusing them of legalizing gambling for minors, because kids were getting their parents' credit cards.
Oh.
Because if you look at loot boxes, like, oh, we got that free one, I want that experience more. I can
Yeah.
always. Usually, they make it a lot, not quite as easy now, but I can go and essentially buy
Right.
credits to open that. It used to be in the original Overwatch. You could just, there was a spot to buy more loot boxes. Now they try to
Okay.
filter it by making you buy credits first. But they got sued, and then Overwatch changed the feature. That was when they went to a live service game format, which is also another sort of notorious feature nowadays.
Is that an example of a microtransaction?
Yes, absolutely. That is sort of one of the famed microtransactions.
I just remember one of the past times that we had these discussions with some of our classes. Major gripes
Yeah.
from students who do gaming is microtransactions.
Yes, yes. And so that is a specific
that.
example of a
Really
microtransaction
famous
where
one.
it's these little tiny purchases. All right, are they?
Yeah.
Come on, invite me.
Jump
There we
in.
go. All right, perfect.
Play a game.
Okay. All right, we are ready to go.
Play a game.
Play a game.
Play a game.
So, anything visually that you hear, I'm playing mouse and keyboard on a PC, so I'm not getting any haptic feedback. But a controller, there would be vibrations. But anything is fair game for in terms of feedback and user reinforcement.
Okay. I'll read the this first question, something to consider, even if we're not busy in the chat, just because it's been kind of quiet. But as you're doing the worksheet, or for people who watch the recorded version later, be thinking to yourself as you are watching the gameplay. The first question for the worksheet is to give 3 examples of feedback from Overwatch 2, this game we're playing. What kind of information is being relayed, and how are you reading this information? And we're wanting you to use visually descriptive terms as you work your way through that question. The second question is to find 3 examples of rules that are enforced within the game. And as Dave said, games are really nothing more than an amalgamation of rules, right? Describe what the rules are and how they are reinforced through feedback and response. So, how do we know if we are following the rules or if we have broken the rules?
And the
And then the
example.
last
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
And the example given for both of those is right, like being hurt. Like visually, what is the feedback
yeah.
for the question number 1? Like, how do we know hypothetically, or not hypothetically, theoretically in the game that we are hurt? What is the game doing to let us know? And then the second rule reinforces ideal behavior of what to do once we are hurt.
Very good. Yes. And then that last question, considering the examples provided above, what kind of feedback felt the most effective or apparent to you, right? And so what are you noticing that is effective feedback at letting you know you're hurt and letting you know how to get unhurt or whatever? Okay, so those are the questions that we want you to keep in mind as you're watching gameplay, or if you happen to play this game yourself.
Yeah. And something,
or other games.
Kind of a question that's hitting my mind right now, to sort of, maybe if you could kind of write a version of this in chat, Bevin, is what kind of ideal does it prescribe for a user? Right? Because we always have to think of this as the part of design that bridges our bodies to the medium. Right? So just like the theater has us sit still.
Yes.
Right? Is there something that this is seeming to require us, or that you can maybe assume that it requires of an ideal user or consumer?
Does the game, or do games in general, let us know who is the ideal user?
All right, and so one of the reasons I sort of like Overwatch, one is it's sort of a game I'm familiar with, but also games of this type are sort of like visual onslaughts of feedback, so to speak. Right? They're almost
truly
these
a lot going on.
Yes.
Here. Yeah.
They're almost these psychedelically overwhelming sensory spaces, like going to Times Square or a laser light show or something like that, right? Where it's just like a massively overwhelming, immersive experience. You know, and then I have one of those kind of curved monitors, so even more so. You know, and I play with the like good headphones. Yeah.
Big nerd.
I know.
Adult nerd.
Adult nerd. But one thing we sort of mentioned already, and that is sort of one of the real obvious things, is how do we know which team is not our team? Like, it's an obvious question.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Oh my god, all those little sounds.
I know. And you can adjust a lot of this.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody's trying to judge me, I'm lecturing before I'm playing. This isn't like my most focused. Just trying to find a way out.
And the other people you're playing with, Dave, can they hear you?
Normally they could. They can't hear us now because I'm streaming. And I'm not, not exactly sure. Don't want like a double audio situation since we have the audio nice. But normally they would be able, we would be able to talk to each other. But ideally the game is designed in a way where that is not necessary. That if I am the kind of gamer it is hoping I will be, or suggesting that I be, or prescribing me to be, then I will get all of the feedback I need, or potentially, without having to talk to any of these other people.
Yeah. One thing that I'm thinking of too, as just sort of watching, and I kind of intentionally didn't look up
Yeah, we kind of
gameplay
wanted like a cold look
about
of
this,
it.
and I kind of wanted a blind react, I
Yeah.
guess maybe. And so there are people who are familiar with the game who can read a lot of this
Yeah.
visual information, and then there's the perspective of someone who's never seen it before, and how do I make sense of what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of an interesting comparison, and maybe we're all coming to the same conclusions, and that would be a sign that this feedback is effective.
Yeah.
Or maybe I am misinterpreting some of it as a new person, and I'm going to have to learn that I am misinterpreting.
Yeah, and so there's going to be a mix of feedback that game designers would use the buzzword of being intuitive, which is actually kind of a more nonsense term and really points to how media condition us, that games are just greatly appropriative of other media forms.
Yeah.
And they just use the term intuitive when they mean appropriative.
Right.
But there will also be stuff that is more of a semiotic or symbolic function that you have to learn the signs to read. Yeah. But something that's super obvious right now, right, is the red.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, this is good. We have a chat question.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to answer it yet.
Okay.
I want to think about this for a second. Okay. What is the timer or counter in the bottom center? And I think it's the thing that's now a blue circle with a little symbol in it, but it was counting a second ago.
It was counting, right?
And Dave probably knows what it is, but I don't want him to tell me yet.
But let's just think about what does the counting is what matters. Is not that it's...
But now it has no number. It's not
now it has no number, correct. But the counting tells us what we need to know about the behavior.
A symbol in it.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It looks, okay, in the chat, it looks like something special, a special something has been met. And my vote is that we have reached a good level of damage to other people. And so we got to ride that high for a minute, and now we're back down at the bottom, and we have to shoot some people or gather something to get back up there. That's my guess.
Totally solid read. I think that was very effective feedback, right? And we're getting a really cool mix of kinds of feedback, right? It's, by all sort of designs, a 3D world.
Yeah.
Right, but we're reading two-dimensional overlays on top of that, sort of within this 3D space, right? So we're getting this, again, kind of mixed surface, mixed perspective that games are great at.
Yeah.
That
so
they're
Dave,
great at synthesizing.
what is the middle counter?
So that is one of our character's special abilities, and the middle counter is their most powerful ability, called their ultimate. And so this is showing me the percentage of the way I am towards being able to use it again.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But and if you see at the bottom right, I've got 2 more counters.
Yes.
And so every character will work on that system of what you call managing cooldowns. So the timer on that is referred to as the abilities cooldown. And so this
working up to our full potential.
Yes. And so this is a game that at its core, one of the things hardcore players will tell you is all about managing your cooldowns, knowing your timings on when abilities become ready again.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Right, yeah, so that's kind of one of those excellent examples of feedback. Right, we're getting that mixed surface, yeah.
The other thing I am picking up on is when we get kind of a wash of color over the screen. It's happened with blue, it's happened with yellow, it's happened with red.
Yes.
And in my mind, which I've told my classes now that I kind of firmly stopped playing video games after N64, okay?
Yeah.
And if you play the N64, you know about GoldenEye,
yeah,
which is another first-person shooter.
The
one of the early ones.
Yeah.
And when you get hit, you get shot at in GoldenEye, it sort of does that with red. It kind of puts a red wash over.
Yeah.
Like, ouch, you got hurt, right? To this question of how do I know I'm hurt in the game.
Yeah.
But here, I'm having a harder time decoding all of these yellow plus signs or the kind of blue plasma that goes over. Like red, I read more clearly as blood or injury.
Yeah.
And the other colors are a little harder to suss out.
Yeah. Okay, and we could. Do we want to jump into a chat or a spot and look at them real quick?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So this is me winning the game for the team.
Wow.
You know.
Okay.
You know. At least I'm sure.
Are you Adam Lambert?
No. I don't know if I know who Adam Lambert is.
I do not know who Adam Lambert is. My students probably don't either. So.
Okay.
But kind of probably a niche moment in
Okay,
time.
hold on. Yes, see. We're going to jump out of here real quick. We're going to jump into a training. So, one of the things that you can see is that when we have our character selection, there are roles. And this is part of the prescriptive behavior, right? And that each character has different abilities. But I'll show you an example of how the colors are used. So if we want to heal somebody, and I'm one of the healers now, this is Mercy, right? That's damage boosting. That lets me know that I'm doing damage. And as you can see, the gold is that I'm healing them. So health comes as gold, right? And then it's reinforced. I'll show you where. Let's see. Pick any other healer. Let's do Moira. So when Moira heals, right, her healing spray is that gold color. It's kind of a fiery gold, right? It's got a little more edge to it.
That's healing spray.
That's healing spray.
It looks fiery.
Yeah.
That looks maybe not good.
But she's like an anti-hero, right? So she kind of has like, it heals you, but it's kind of like the, I know it's got a name that hopefully one of your students will call me out on it. But the ogres, or the orc draft from Lord of the Rings, right? That Pippin and Merry are forced to drink. And it burns really bad, but it makes them stronger. It helps heal some of their wounds, right? So her healing eye that she sends out, right? It's gold, but the damage that she does, right? Damage comes in purple, right? That she actively damages
that makes
enemies.
Sense. Damage purple. That makes sense. Somebody in the chat wonders if they have Overwatch, can they join in? Is that how that works?
Yeah, technically we were filled in, I think, on a team. But yes, they could hypothetically join in. All right, we'll do one more example of a healer. Who's got a really good visual one? Let's try Zenny. Right, so when he puts one of his healing orbs, right, you see it floats right above him, and it's that gold color. But when he puts a damage orb, right, it's another purple one.
Okay.
So it helps everybody in the match know what is happening, right? It's like a visual, symbolic narrative.
We're all on the same page.
Right, and again, one of those ways of reinforcing... Oh, shit, I left all the team behind. I'll have to get invited back to them real quick. Didn't reinforce.
So when my screen, or when our screen goes kind of yellow with yellow plus signs, does that mean we are being healed?
Yes. Right, so one of the examples...
Maybe you literally said that while you were explaining, but
that's yes. So when there's like that yellow beam that we see come down on our screen, that is that yellow beam of mercy. Yes. So that's us getting the visual
receiving.
Yes, the visual communication that we are being healed by another player.
Oh, good.
Right, and so to sort of kind of finish the form of that question, it indicates both sort of strategically in the game that like we have active support, right, and that can maybe affect our decision making on what we want to do, but also as a gamer, right, it reinforces that idea of that at all times we need to be searching for that visual stimulus, right, that visual information.
And there's a lot of it.
Yes, and there's a lot of it. And so a good gamer, right, a good Overwatch player becomes a master at managing that stimulus.
Yeah. Okay, we have an observation in the chat that in the last round there were some blue flames surrounding that middle icon.
Yes.
And does that mean with the higher score of kills were achieved on fire in a sense, right? Like I'm nailing it. I am to my full potential.
Yes.
I'm doing good right now.
There's a spot where our character will like literally make a joke about being on fire, about becoming on fire, and that's when the game is signaling that your character is fulfilling their role,
doing
their job particularly well.
Or whatever.
Yes.
I love that.
That assigned skill.
Yes.
Good.
Right,
he gets
also, while Dave was making his Lord of the Rings reference, it occurred to me that I should warn anyone who might interact with Dave in a stream or in real life that he is like the biggest Tolkien nerd.
Maybe not the biggest. Okay, maybe.
And Dave.
Yes.
I know some of the nerdiest Tolkien nerds in the world as a person who studies medieval art history, and I think Dave is one of the premier Tolkien nerds.
That is high praise. That is high praise. I take that
because when I get Tolkien like memes and stuff in my algorithm, I assume it's because we are associated online.
Yeah, because I send you Tolkien memes.
Because you do, and anytime I see one, I send it to you. Because who else could possibly appreciate that? Yeah. So I just thought that was an appropriate moment.
Yeah, and then I have to send them to my dad.
Yeah.
Because he's the only other person I know that would know it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's probably his fault that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Totally.
You are the way you are.
Totally. And I had my my office had a sign on it that for the Tolkien nerds will know it's speak friend and enter. And then one of the mathematics professors actually knew what it was one day, like that thing from the book, and knew the Elven response. And I was like, oh, well, I guess you can enter. And then she just like came in and set her stuff down, like got a drink out of the fridge. And I was like, oh, I don't mean like I can't actually hang out right now.
Yeah, no, this is, it's a funny. Right?
Yeah, it's like a funny. Like I didn't want you to actually.
Well, buckle up, partner.
No.
You found a lifeline.
Don't make this harder than it needs to be.
Okay, let's see. I asked the chat.
Okay, yeah. So let's actually. Oh yeah, if there's something in the chat.
Oh no, this is totally irrelevant. But I was going to share it. Yeah. Is that I asked them if my students know who Adam Lambert is. Mm-hmm. And we have 67% in the yes category and 33% in the no category.
Okay, I'm with that 33%.
And you would have been that. So then we would have been like, yeah, it would have been really a split.
Yeah.
Thing.
All right. So
anyway, okay, back to what you were going to say.
So I guess here's the proper introduction, right? Overwatch, which is kind of a game from 2016. Overwatch
that's
2.
When the first one came out?
Yeah, is really just a redressed live service of the first game. So that's sort of a contentious thing as well.
Okay.
But it's a team-based shooter, right? So you play with people on your team, right? And it's a first-person game, but that dual identity we talked about works partly in a sense for communication. When we're trying to communicate what the other team is doing, you can call out a player. It's a history that everybody's familiar with, right? They have abilities that we all know, right? So it's, again, an internal language that the game has. But it's a team-based shooter, and right now, in its current iteration, the primary version of the game has locked roles. And so that's kind of like a fantasy borrowing thing, where there's big, beefy characters that are tanks, There's characters that are supposed to do like a lot of damage, and then you have support characters that mainly heal. And so you have sort of defined roles.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, like if you look in the bottom left, the icon that shows my character's face, if that's ever circled in that blue flame, that means I'm doing my job of being a tank well. And specifically what the designers had in mind for how he's supposed to play. It's kind of a reinforcement of those behaviors, right? Through that visual and audio feedback. Yeah.
What's funny is someone in the chat was basically laying that out right as you were giving that example.
Cool.
And so that was kind of asked and answered right then. So that's cool.
Yeah. You know, and it was kind of like
as you're doing this right now, I'll ask to the chat or anybody who's in there, while he's going through this like active gameplay of what like I would call shoot 'em up action.
Shoot 'em up action.
There's some shoot 'em up action going on here.
Perfect.
Think about color and texture and how we know, are we doing well or are we not doing well?
And then it's not just damage and enemies, right? How do we know what space we can make use of? How do we know what space provides around us? Right? For example, I haven't needed one yet, but in here there's like a health pad that I can look at, and here it's available.
And it glows blue.
Yeah, right. Because it's that good blue glow. We don't want the bad red glow.
Oh my god, we're almost at 100.
Yeah.
Doing it. Our abilities.
Yep. And
we're
you
doing
see
our
we're getting
abilities.
that gold and blue stream, right? So they're amplifying my damage.
Heal me up.
And then now they're going to heal me, and I've got the purple, which means this is a person I can do extra damage to. And then there's this blue shield between us. And then there was the trapped, it said on top of the screen, that let me know in my ultimate ability I got trapped, and then I just got hit by somebody's ultimate. So I'm getting like this extra abundance of red.
Are you trapping other people?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much going on, right? And it has to find ways to make every bit of it legible to the user.
How do I know who to shoot and who is on my team?
Yeah. How do you know? Well,
How do I know?
Yeah. So let's like look at what we're seeing in like a big sort of main obvious way.
Okay. Okay, Sebastian is typing things in Russian in the chat, which is less than helpful, but I do know that that's Sebastian this way. Okay, we have a comment in the chat that just says, red bad.
Yes, red, oh my god, red bad. That is like one of the universal languages used in gaming. Right? And that's such an interesting, sort of intuitive thing to think about, is how many of us might have been looking at that and didn't notice that like every single character on the enemy team is outlined in red, and their name and the bars above them are in red. Right, see right there?
I was picking up on these little like triangle things above them that are red.
Yep. And then our team is named in blue. We did it. Yeah, we did it.
Also, somebody says that perhaps it's like a first-person World of Warcraft.
Yes, and I mean, yes, Blizzard is the same game that made World of Warcraft.
Gotcha.
So that is both a historically apt assumption, but also visually, right? Because within, like, you know, we talk about this in our history of game design lecture. Within different game design companies, right? They have in-house aesthetics, right? Like you recognize Apple products. You recognize as a gamer,
kind of
what Nintendo looks like. You recognize what Blizzard looks like, or what Rockstar looks like.
And I think it came up when we were talking about like character types, right? Big dude is big tank man. Like, you know, little Harry is little healer. And
right.
Whatever.
So a person that does not have a ton of health is this small healing character.
Right.
A person who has a ton of health is our giant character here, another tank, right? And they're visually imposing characters, the tanks are.
Yes.
Right? You know, they're huge, hulking, you know, sort of...
You kind of know what they do based on what they look like. And I mean, that's That's a fantasy archetype stereotype thing way
Trope,
back,
yes.
right?
Way back when.
Speaking of, Dave is a Tolkien nerd.
Right,
Like
yeah.
the hobbits versus the dwarves.
Right? And then my favorite character in the game is the dwarf. Right? Not just because he's a dwarf, but also because he's an
Gimli!
engineer. And because he's like Gimli. But he's an engineer and he's a dwarf. And he's my favorite character in the game.
I do like him. That little mushroom-hatted fellow was awfully cute.
Yeah, so we can look at some of the skins later and talk about some of the
braided beard is
microtransaction.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Ooh, I get to play him on this game. Perfect.
You hootie wooty.
Right, so this icon over here, the 3 bullets,
Yes.
indicates what class I'm in.
Okay.
And since it assigns you one of 3 classes now, before each game starts, but I'm an attack or a damage class now, which means I get to pick Torbjorn. Right, so he can be. We have all of these different.
Oh my God, Captain
great-
Ahab.
Yep, he's a little gnome.
Oh,
He's
the gnome
Magni,
is
which
awfully
this is a
cute.
World of Warcraft reference. Also, Magni's one of the sons of Thor. He's got a little beach outfit. He's got a Viking outfit. But we're gonna do a
Wow.
yeah. So he's the Overwatch. So his mythos, his backstory is that he's Overwatch's engineer.
Okay.
Right, and engineers are the best. And so he's the builder, right? So he builds turrets. He throws this turret down that will automatically shoot enemies that it target or that it sights.
Yeah.
So anybody gets in its line of sight, or the gaming term is its LOS.
Okay, so maybe during this gameplay, let's consider this second question in the worksheet is to find 3 examples of rules that are enforced within the game.
Mm-hmm.
Describe what the rules are and how they are reinforced through feedback and response. What are the limitations and rules that are on us right now?
Right. And then we have to sort of keep in mind, especially anything that feels obvious. Like if I were to say a rule is that we can't shoot through walls, you might be like, well, yeah, duh, of course we can't shoot through walls. But why? Like, it's a video game. It has no obligation towards any
really a duh?
laws, like physical laws, right? Mm-hmm. So it
Also,
could be,
we're like a gnome.
Yeah, or a dwarf. We're not a gnome yet.
Okay.
Right, and then I get audio cues about things happening so that I don't have to turn around necessarily, and I know, like, just then to back out, and that I could do so because I was being healed. Right, and I also had, like, several visual cues of it. Right, in the top right corner, we see, like, I'm going to use a way outdated media reference, but almost like a teletype of the event, right? We see, like a quick visual 2-dimensional play-by-play. Right, like we see I just died. So we see like a stat line almost. And then I got revived.
Kind of a reset.
Yep, and then there's a change in point of view when I die.
True.
Right, there's a change in control. Like I am no longer in control of things in the game that I was. Which that's a particular kind of conditioning or programming.
Sebastian noticed the ability that your ability usage.
Yeah.
That the timer is there, the counter is there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it returns to normal. That sort of a set of rules revolving around your use of that.
Yeah. And again, if we think about that and sort of unpack it in all of the different ways, it kind of tells us a lot. It's both how this character plays, right?
Yeah.
You know, what our approach with this character has to be, but also, again, just prescriptive behavior as gamers.
Yeah. I'm also wondering about the rules of friendly fire.
Yeah.
If you aim and shoot at your own team, does it hurt them?
We can find out.
Does it hurt you?
So no, the answer is no.
It assumes good faith. It assumes you do not intend to be doing that.
Or perhaps it's just not an element they wanted to include in the game.
Yeah.
Because I would say, for example, there are strategies and characters involved that you shoot through other players by intention.
Okay.
Like there's a
Okay.
healer that kind of works like that, where
Okay.
if you're standing behind a teammate, as long as they need healing and you're shooting them, it hits their body. But once they no longer need healing, it'll pass through them and potentially
The
damage
next
another.
person who needs it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And pro tip, because I play a lot of this character, one of the things I like to do is to throw a turret down behind me, and then I'll stand here, right in front of it, and protect the fire while it shoots through all of our teammates, making it hard to see because it's shooting through this, swath of bodies.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, yeah, lots of red. Right, but also think about how text is utilized, how two-dimensional images in space get utilized.
And I didn't relay it from the chat, but the term HUD was
HUD,
used.
yep.
Which is a thing we discussed in our history lecture. What is it? Heads up display? Is that right?
Display, yeah.
So these items around our screen that are telling us
I had to open the door
maybe
of the
even
PC.
more explicitly than just the gameplay is.
Yeah.
What we have, what we can do, what we don't have,
Yeah.
what the score of the game is, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. And I'm almost positive heads-up display comes from fighter jets, where it's another medial
What?
appropriation. That the term, the HUD,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure comes from fighter planes.
Oh, interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm trying to remember. That might be wrong.
Want me to fact check you?
And if it is, that'll be the one thing everybody remembers.
Let me see. Okay. I think you're right.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And for pilots using it, it says also that the HUD for a pilot or precursor technology to augmented reality,
Yeah.
incorporating a subset of the feature needed for the full AR experience. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, because they use some wildly advanced AR now.
We did it. Yeah. Good job, Dave.
Yeah. The guy whose job it is
I
to
like
remember
it when he
that
pours
stuff.
gold potion into his gun.
Yes. So it's magma.
Yes, it is.
It's magma, right? It's molten,
Good.
right? Because he shoots. It's a rivet gun. So that's his backstory, right? Is he's the tinkerer, he's the engineer. So he shoots, and you can see him when they hit and fly through the air. They're molten hot rivets, and so he lost in his lore. He lost his arm in the early days of Overwatch, and so he has this biomechanical arm now that produces the molten metal he uses to power his abilities.
Okay, I like it.
Yep. And then he has these hyper advanced auto-targeting turrets, and he shoots this really high damage but slow firing molten core rivet gun that'll also do like shotgun blasts. He can pump up his armor, right? He charges himself.
I do like that. Yeah, I like when that
And
happens.
he charges himself with his liquid metal. And then when he...
the last question on the worksheet is kind of summarizes or brings it around and just asks you to reflect on which of these types of feedback are most effective or apparent for you as a gamer.
And
And there might be some different answers. Like
Yeah.
one of us might think one thing and somebody else something different.
And also, effective and apparent don't have to be the same thing.
That's very true, actually.
Right.
Some might be obvious, and others might be especially effective and helpful for you.
Yeah, or some might be overwhelming to you.
Very true.
Right?
Yes.
Somebody might be
I'm
like,
feeling
oh,
that.
all the red is super effective. And then somebody else, new to
Right.
the game is, oop, that felt super overwhelming.
Oof, too much. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, what do you think is the most effective feedback in this particular gaming experience?
As a person who has spent far too much time playing the game,
Yeah.
I like feedback that doesn't require me to take my eyes off of the objective.
Okay.
So I use these days, I rely on a lot of audio feedback. Right?
Oh,
Things that I'm
okay.
not necessarily seeing on screen. Because I guess maybe I have at this point so quickly internalized and processed the visual information that now I can focus on the exterior audio. But it's also speaks to the way the game is spatially designed. Right? That nowadays the audio for games is so good that if somebody is meant to sound behind me to my left or right, it'll sound quote unquote that way.
That's true.
In my headphones, even though it doesn't actually sound that way, just like naturalism isn't realistic.
Sure, right.
But through this system of conditioning, we have learned quite effectively to read this digital feedback
to interpret
and
it
to
that
imagine it in this very complex virtual spatial environment.
Yeah.
Right. And again, just sort of highlights the beauty of human beings and our ability to create and communicate through complex media like this.
Is there a form of feedback here that is especially apparent to you, but maybe like you were saying in like not a super effective way? You think this is a pretty good overall example?
Yeah,
We're not
I
getting
would
too
say
much of any one kind.
Right, but stuff that you may not, that I would read differently that somebody else might, right, to where we can see teammates through walls. I am sort of strategically understanding, like, oh, they're kind of standing in the wrong place right now. You know, they should maybe be standing somewhere else, and that's kind of one of those very much more subtle feedbacks. But the things that it's making blatantly obvious is like where danger is. You know, and sometimes overwhelmingly so it pops up. Right, I get things that pop up on that fictitious screen we talk about, where it sticks to the quote-unquote camera.
Right, yes.
And it's always like, what is that? You know, I already know I'm getting damaged. Like, why do I need extra? You know, and
I see that for sure.
Like myself included, when I made the transition from console to PC recently, I got don't have the vibration anymore because I play with a mouse and keyboard, and it's actually kind of refreshing for a little bit.
That was like a thing for a long time. Like that was the standard, man.
And I devoted, like, I wrote a lot of papers about that. You know, I had publications talking about, or like conferences talking about, you know, how we use vibration.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, to me, like the hallmark of what games did so well. And then it was just like not hyper, but just ironic that one of the things I really liked about switching to a mouse was like having a break from it constantly buzzing in your hands.
Like since the days of the Rumble Pack, that's been gaming, dude.
Yeah. And it's a very effective form of feedback, but it is also, like a lot of the feedback in here, it's redundant. We see lots of redundant feedback loops.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Right? It never tells us something in just one way.
Yeah. And to your point about using audio as one of your main effective feedbacks, in the chat, someone noticed like shots and booms and sounds grow louder the closer we get to these big, you know, actions, these big moments.
And then how do we know that those are big moments? right? Like
As
if we're
they
going to
get
be
louder as we
explicit,
get closer.
right? And they draw them. It's drawn is animated larger, more dramatically, right? We see more
The
space of
feedback
the
becomes
screen.
so much more.
Yeah. And then we can use sort of our visual analysis to describe that, right? Like it occupies more of the pictorial space. It becomes more saturated or more vibrant.
Yeah. It's busier, right?
Yeah.
There's just a lot more detail, which, as a viewer, makes me think I should look closer and more carefully at it.
Yeah. And then how much of it expects you to, again, in these false video game terms, intuitively or natively respond to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
It's,
true.
it's like any game you play, or almost like, again, I'm not making the accusation that these are sports, but anything that involves that sort of that motor reflex.
Yeah.
Right. That sort of second-hand response. All right.
Yeah.
We're only a
Totally.
couple minutes out. Do we want to call it there?
I think we can do that. We've kind of made our way through the
Yeah.
questions. The questions I posted because of character limits in the comments. If you look at the same questions on the worksheet, most of the questions have like, for example, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. So if you look at the question and you're not really sure where to go from there, the rest of the question might give you a little bit of insight. And then I think the way we tried to talk through some of those questions maybe helps kind of find some fuel for how you might answer those questions. I'll just repeat again that I did re-upload the worksheet on iLearn because I had initially put an older version of the worksheet up on accident. So there's a newer worksheet uploaded, and those are the questions that are here in the chat. Someone asked me this week whether there was a way to view the chat from the live stream while you're watching the video, and I think there is, but you have to like select or toggle a view chat button or something, but it does exist.
Yeah.
So I guess those are sort of my parting shots.
All right. Well,
Now I'm overstimulated from all the feedback.
I know. Yeah, and then just something to keep in mind, sort of like a fun, I think it's a fun thought experiment. But to sort of keep in mind is how media everywhere, every day, sort of condition these kinds of responses. Like everything we do, every form of media we can think of, right, sort of engenders an ideal user. Yeah. And it's part, an interesting part of the design that bridges the gap between our body and then the medium itself. All right. Well, everybody have a good evening.
Word. Okay.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much.
Yep. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you for leading us, Dave.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. All right.